Chipotle. What does that have in common with target panic? Nothing. But we went to Chipotle for lunch, and we were thinking, what can we make as a video today? And we were just at Utah Total Archery Challenge, and I feel like I was talking to several people about target panic, how to solve target panic, how to deal with it. And then also, as I was explaining it, people are like, oh yeah, I have that too. So target panic is a tricky thing. Everyone experiences it sometime in their shooting career. I've had it. Every now and again, I will have a short little, either stress-induced target panic. So it's like when I'm under a little bit of pressure or something. And there's this little routine I'm going to share today. And it's actually not little. It's a big routine that I'm going to share today that is going to fix your target panic and not put a Band-Aid on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk about, it's going to be a lot of talking in this video. What I'm going to talk about is the Band-Aids that people feel like can sometimes solve their target panic, but then after a while it comes back. And then we're going to talk about the hard reset of your mind for target panic, because all target panic is in your mind. So what is target panic? Let's go over to this target. And let's say, you're aiming, you draw back, and your pin, let's say we're aiming at this one. Your pin sits right here. And you're coming up, and then you're close, boom, and you shoot. It's almost like as soon as you, boom, get in the middle, you shoot. So that is what we call a drive-by. Essentially, the pin never really settles, and you have this built-up anxiety inside. And then once you finally get close, boom, it goes off. That can also be, let's pretend we're aiming at this one, the drop down. So you're coming down, and it's closer, boom. And it's almost like a ramp up, like you gotta, boom. And a lot of times you can see guys like come down actually, and they kind of like freak out and stuff. And that's target panic. And that's kind of like a more mellow target panic. Another form of target panic is, let's pretend we're aiming at this one again, is instead of putting the pin right in the middle, you're holding it right here. And it feels like you have a stack of bricks on your bow arm and you cannot lift your pin up. You don't have to do a drive-by, but essentially what you do is you just get sighted in for always holding about an inch or two low. That is a slight form of target panic. And that one, honestly, is probably the scariest because you ignore it forever. And then when you are in a stressful situation, either, bow hunting, trying to shoot something, or you're doing like a little competition with your buddies, or you're a tournament archer, when you are practicing and you're sitting low, and then you have this stress-induced situation, that's called stress-induced target panic. And then you can really start getting lower and lower, and you can sometimes you can't even get up on the target. So that really creeps up on it. Another form of target panic is punching. Of course, punching is a form of target panic because you have to engage the trigger fast because of that little moment of anxiety of making the bow go off. So sometimes you can even be on the middle, but then you're like, oh, I'm on the middle, oh no, and then you just punch it. You can hold on the middle, but you're punching. So several different forms of target panic, but essentially the basis of target panic is anxiety of the bow going off and being afraid to actually hit the middle. That's target panic. Everyone has it. Everyone has it to some extent, one way or another. And what I'm going to talk about now is some of the mechanics around target panic, and where people feel like they can solve it by having a little putting a Band-Aid on it by changing around different forms of equipment. So releases is always the number one go-to. It's like, oh, I have a little bit of target panic, so I'm going to switch to a hinge, or oh, I have a little bit of target panic, I'm going to switch back to my index trigger, or this or that or whatever. And those are all Band-Aids. Like, if the cold hard truth is, if you have target panic, you only solve it by fixing your mind. Switching releases can help that. People have switched releases and fixed it completely because they probably have a really strong mental, and that's all it took was a little bit of change to be like, okay, something's different. I'm using now my conscious mind to go through this, and I am again aiming with my conscious mind and aiming back in the middle just by a little slight equipment change. But normally what happens, let's say, I'm shooting a button, doing great, a couple weeks in, shooting a button, and then all of a sudden I'm like holding low, and then I'm starting to do a drive-by, and I'm like, oh gosh, like that kind of crept up on me, and I go back to a hinge. It's like, okay, I'm aiming good again. But then it's like another week goes by, and you're starting to get used to it, and then anxiety comes back a little bit, and you're aiming low again, and you're like, I gotta go back to my button. I was good when I first started shooting my button. You go back to your button, you're like, like new release, we're good. But that target panic is always kind of in the back of your mind. This is a True Ball Sweet Spot Pro, and it has this little safety flicker thing. And I really think that this can cause some bad target panic, because you get set up and you switch over the safety and it's like, oh gosh, we're about to shoot. And some people also like that as like, okay, we're going over to a hinge with the safety thing. Another little Band-Aid. A pressure tension release. We did the unboxing on this. This is the X-Tension Flex Abyss Gesture Ball Water Edition. What a tension release can do is this can actually solve quite a bit of target panic as a mechanical system altogether. Now, pressure style release, if you don't know, you set it up to your draw length where you pull back on this safety mechanism, you get to full draw, holding the safety down, then you let go of the safety, and you push and pull, and you set it up so that you're pushing and pulling against the wall until X amount of pounds of your bow setup has been reached, and then the bow goes off. But what that does is it allows you to aim that entire time, and it does not require a trigger or a motion to go off other than just sitting and pushing and pulling, and then it can go off. So under enough repetition and practice, you can actually solve it, mechanically through this. I just have another hinge. I don't know why I have another hinge. It's because like sometimes people are like, oh, well, I'll try this hinge and it'll fix my problems. And then it's like, oh, my problems came back. Let me go back to this one and blah, 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 blah. They don't solve problems most of the time. I would say the only one that really can solve a problem is a tension styled release of some sort. But what we're going to talk about is a process to trick your mind while aiming that will solve it. This is a George Riles tip. I always pull from the depths of the dictionary of archery at George Riles tips, and I think I refined it a little bit of his process, but the core of it is a very regimented training routine that will help you aim better and essentially solve target panic. So we're going to kind of run through this, how I would do it. We got a couple arrows here. All you need is a target, and if you are in the early stages, you can do this in your garage. You can do this anywhere close distance if you have a smaller backyard, or anything. So we have a target here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at 3 yards. Start at 3 yards, and what you're going to do is get your sight sighted in for the target that you're aiming at. So we got a morel here. We'll shoot at it in 4 different spots and exactly in the middle. And what you can do too is like take a piece of cardboard, draw little tiny circles on it so that your aiming point is super, super fine, if you can do that. But if you are still experiencing target panic at this close distance, what you should do is get a ginormous target at this super close space. Like you could draw a ginormous Sharpie marker where it's like, wow, I should just give up completely if I can't hit a dot this big at 3 yards. But we want to set that precedence here where it's like so easy to aim and to shoot a good, well executed shot at 3 yards and hit what you're aiming at. That's very important. A lot of times when you come up in blank bail, you don't really get sighted in and your arrows go like 2 inches high, 2 inches low, or whatever. You have to hit what you're aiming at, the very center, and aim at the very center. So we're going to get sighted in here. I'm just going to show you, kind of walk through what we're doing. So I'm going to aim at the upper left one. Okay, so we're a little low. And at 3 yards, you're going to end up putting your sight at like 50, 45, 50, something like that. So don't be afraid to do that. Just move it right to it. Okay, so I'm going to aim at the upper right one now. Okay, so that was just a little right. That was just me aiming. So now here we go. We're sighted in at 3 yards. And now, this is the tricky part. We'll say this. for 3 days in a row, 3 days in a row, shooting 25 to 50 arrows at this distance. Every arrow very intentionally aiming at the middle of the dot, making a very intentional good shot. And you have to do them, depending on how much you shoot or whatever, you can do 25, or you can do 50, you can do 100 if you wanted to be an overachiever. But this is the important part. Every single arrow in a row, let's just call it, we're gonna do 50 in a row. Every single arrow of that 50 in a row has to be perfect. You have to never have that little instance of, oh my gosh, anxiety moment, because you're so close, that should dissolve. And honestly, if that doesn't dissolve, step up to like 1 yard, to where your mind is just totally tricked at aiming in the middle. And that's what we're trying to do. So you have to make all of those 50 shots in a row for day 1, and then come back, reset, just start right here, day 2, and then come back, day 3, start right here, 50 arrows each day. Do not skip, do not go on your lunch break outside to 20 yards and see if it's fixed. You don't interrupt this process. And the kicker is, if you mess up on day 3, arrow number 49, and do a drive-by or do a bobble or punch the crap out of the release, you restart. This is a very lengthy process, but it also can extremely do a hard reset on your brain when it comes to shooting. So we got 3 days. We've shot 50 arrows each day, aiming right in the middle, making a perfect shot. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back here to 5 yards. Congratulations, you graduated from 3 yards to 5 yards. So what we're gonna do, okay. So now we're back at 5 yards, and I'm just gonna get sighted in real quick just to kind of show you that, like, yes, you have to get sighted in. Okay, so we're a little high. And I'm talking, you gotta get dialed. You gotta treat this like you're trying to shoot a tournament or something. Like, put it right in the middle. Aim right in the middle, shoot right in the middle. And after this, I'll kind of show you like different targets you could aim at, but we're gonna get this sighted in. I mean, that was a perfect shot. We're still a little high. But this is the process. So we got 5 yards, 3 days at 5 yards, 8 yards, 3 days at 8 yards, 50 arrows a day. Next, 10 yards. Congratulations. So now your third distance is 10 yards. Again, 3 days, 50 arrows there. And if you mess up on day 3 on arrow number 49 of 10 yards, you go back to 3 yards. It's a very simple process, and it's a longer process, but this gives you that hard mental reset for aiming and conquering target panic. So we got 3 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. Can you guess what's next? We're gonna jump a little bit to 15 yards. So we're gonna do 3 days, 50 arrows each day at 15 yards. And once you've done that at a similar target, and if you feel like you can't aim good enough at maybe the spot's now getting smaller, make the spot bigger. It's okay. This isn't an accuracy challenge. This is an aiming and a shot process challenge. So we're gonna do 3 days at 15 yards. Once you've completed that, then you go to 20. Now, by the time you're at 20 and you made it this far, it potentially could be smooth sailing. So you do 3 more days at 20 yards. And then after that, you can then go into shooting some other distances, some other targets, and seeing how everything is feeling. But it's very important. If you mess up on day 3, arrow number 48 at 20 yards, you go all the way back to 3 yards, because obviously it did not work somewhere along the lines and your anxiety is still there. So you have to trick your mind with aiming. If you can aim in the middle at 3 yards, there's no reason you can't aim in the middle at 100 yards. So it's tricking the mind, going through the process of that. We'll show you a couple targets that would be really good to, to aim at. So obviously we have this Morel here. We have the super small one. If this super small one in the middle was good, that would also be good to aim at. But we also have like normal paper targets. So this would be a really good target to aim at for your 3-yarder right in the middle, 3, 4, 5. I mean, typically when this is a target archery sequence, you would always aim at this target. So you start at 3, 5, 8, 10, whatever. But if you are experiencing some problems, even just with target panic up close, graduate to a bigger target. aiming at this big 10 ring at, 3 yards really relieves your mind of stress or anything. Also, you just flip this over, and it's good to have like a blank one, and draw a Sharpie dot, or draw multiple Sharpie dots. Draw Sharpie dots all over this and aim at them, but aim at the middle of them. You don't want to be even hanging in the bottom. If you're hanging in the bottom of the dot at 3 yards, bump up to 2 yards, bump up to 1 yard. You have to get through that mental. You have to get through that mental block of aiming, and that's all target panic is it's anxiety about performing well, aiming in the middle, and making a good shot. Now, if you have it really bad, what can help kind of get through that hump is you could even do another 3-day sequence prior to the 3-yard shooting, but you can start at 3 yards, and what you're going to do is you're going to draw back, anchor, aim, put your finger on the trigger, aim right in the middle, and then let down. And you can do that 50 times. And if you don't mess up for 50 times, then you can graduate to the next day. You do it 50 more times, and then go to the next day, do it 50 more times. And then you can introduce shooting. Really important you do this process all the way through, though. There's no shortcuts in archery, and if you're cheating and lying, you're only cheating and lying to yourself and making yourself not a better archer. So if you're experiencing target panic, it's still July. There's plenty of time to conquer this before deer season, because when a big deer is walking in, that is when the buck fever is target panic. You hold low, you hold high, you try to swing down on it. That's when it really flares up. So if you can conquer it now, you're just going to be more successful for that buck fever moment. So hope you guys enjoyed. Never made a video on target panic, but it's super important. Makes you a better archer. And every now and again, I still kind of get it, and I just run through. You can, if you just want to tune up, you can even do just a single dayer. You do one day, 5 yards, one day 10 yards, one day 15 yards, one day 20 yards, and just kind of gives you a little reset. But it's just aiming drills, honestly, and process drills. And if you have it really bad, do that letdown for the first sequence. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe if this helped you. It helps the channel so much. Like and comment, and we'll try to answer a few of your questions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.